This is a story about two snakes that met each other under the earth. Um, One snake was exploring a hole, sorry, made perhaps by a mole or perhaps by rain, nobody knows. When suddenly she came across another one, and they said, "Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. Oh, don't worry, I didn't see you either. It's very dark down here. What brings you about?" "Oh, nothing, just exploring. How about you?" "Yeah, me too. Just exploring around." "Hey, you want to explore together?" said the first snake. "Absolutely, that sounds like a great idea." And so they went exploring together. I would say they held hands, but snakes don't have hands. So they were just like brushing against each other. And so, how's life for you? "Oh, great, great. Same old, same old. Just looking for food, trying to make friends. How about you?" "Me too," said the first snake. "You want to be my friend?" "Yeah, I'd love to," said the second snake. "Great, okay. Now, where should we go exploring?" "Well, I just came from back there, and there's nothing interesting. So, how about we go this way?" "All right, I trust you, so let's go that way." "You want to go first?" "Oh no, please be my guest." "All right." So they went exploring, and they did find a few things to eat. Perhaps some insect here and there. Nothing major, nothing too interesting. But exploring together was fun because they were together. And they were discussing their lives as snakes, and before you know it, they were best friends. And so one day, when it was late at night, they decided to go to sleep. And the next morning, they were so happy because they were still close together, and they decided to play around in the caves. And of course, they couldn't see anything. So anything that they had to do, they had to play together or at least hear each other so they wouldn't lose each other. And so it was that life made them best buddies ever. They would sometimes play hide and seek, but not too much of hiding. Mostly it was seeking because it was so dark in there that you couldn't see anything and it was easy to get lost. Sometimes they would find food, sometimes they wouldn't, sometimes it would rain and they would have to find a place that was not getting flooded so that they could stay safe. But life was more fun when you had a friend, and so everything was happier. Until one day, something very unusual happened. Well, I'll tell you about it. One of the snakes said, "Hey, I have an idea." "Sure, what is it, my friend?" "What if we did something that we've never done before?" "Ooh, I like where this is going. Tell me more." "Well, what if we go up and above the earth and we went exploring there?" I don't know. It could be a little scary there. I mean, with the sun and the birds and all of that. I mean, we're very small after all. "Yeah, but still, I mean, we've been down in under the earth for so long. Plus, we never ever really got to see each other." It doesn't matter. I've seen all I need to see. And we talk all the time, so I think I know you. It doesn't matter what you look like." "Yeah, I know it doesn't matter what you look like either, but still, why not?" All right. And so they started looking for holes that would go up. And it was no easy task, to be honest. There was a lot of holes under the ground, but very few of them would go up. And so it took him a few days of exploring and exploring until one day one of the snakes finally found one of those holes and said, "All right, who'll go first?" "Well, since I was the one with the idea, let me go first. Just in case there's anything dangerous up there, I will be the one to take the fall and to warn you." "Well, okay, fair enough," said the other snake. And so the first snake went up there. "Oh, the light, it's so blinding, I can't see anything." "I'm coming," said the other snake. And as soon as they Both were up there. They were both blinded by the sun. Oh, I can't see anything. I can't see anything. Wait, just give it some time. We'll get used to the light. But they had spent so long under the earth that it took them a long, long time. And they were resting under some grass and leaves when finally they saw what was going on. One of them was a tiny snake, but the other one was an earthworm. They were not snakes. And so the snake was like, "Ew, you're an earthworm." And the earthworm was like, "Ah, so scary, you're a real snake. I always thought you were an earthworm." And the snake said, "I always thought you were a snake. Ew." And so he took off running because the snake thought that the earthworm was like slimy and gross. And the earthworm took off running because he thought that the snake was dangerous and look scary. And they both ran away from each other as fast as they could. And after a few minutes, they were both so tired. Ooh, that was a close one. I can't believe I spent so long next to a snake. What if she tried to bite me? I heard those things are venomous. And the snake was like, "Ew, ew, ew, ew. I have earthworm slobber all over me. I thought it was the moisture from the earth. I never imagined. How could I? I hope nobody finds out." And they went their own way. But then they started remembering what it was like when they were playing hide and seek, and when they went looking for food, and then when they were telling each other stories. And they realized how much they missed each other, and then the earthworm started thinking, how is it possible that when we couldn't see each other, we loved each other so much, but when we saw each other, suddenly we didn't? Nothing changed, or did it? And the snake was thinking the same. I mean, yeah, earthworms are usually slimy and yucky, but he was my friend, and now I'm all alone. And so they started looking for each other. But, it's a big world out there, and a little earthworm and a tiny snake, it's not easy to find. Not to mention that earthworms cannot spend much time outside. They dry out, and they need to go back under the earth, where it's almost impossible to find them. And so the snake started looking and looking. At least the snake could be outside for a much longer time. She didn't really need to go under the earth. But it was almost an impossible task. It was such a large yard, and there were so many places to look. The snake was so sad. She realized what a terrible mistake she had made. The earthworm was sad too. He thought, if only I had followed my heart instead of the way that the other one looked. I mean, so what if it looks different from me? As long as we get together and we like each other, we can be friends. And so the earthworm started asking his earthworm's friends, "Hey, I'm looking for a snake. Have you seen it?" "A snake? Are you crazy? I heard those things can bite you and they're venomous. Stay away from those," said his friends. And he thought, my friends don't understand. It's not about what you look like. It's about who you are. And the snake was asking his snake friends, "I'm looking for an earthworm. Have you seen one?" "Ugh, yes. They're everywhere. Ew. I try to stay away from them," said the other snake. "But this was my friend." "You were friends with an earthworm? Get away from me, you freak. Ew." And so they were both so sad. And one night, as the snake was up on the grass, thinking about his friend the earthworm, and the earthworm was under the earth thinking about her friend the snake. The snake started crying, and the earthworm felt the earth getting a little bit more moist. And so he thought, this is interesting. Maybe it's not so dry up there. Maybe it's raining and I can go outside and not dry out from the sun and look for my friend. And so the earthworm started digging up and up and up. And when he came up, he saw his friend the snake. And he said, "Snake, That's you! And the snake said, my friend the earthworm. And they were both so happy. They hugged each other. And they promised never to judge each other by how they looked, but instead by how much they liked each other. And from that day on, they continued to be best friends forever. And that's the story of the snake. The end.
The story ends.
Good night, Pequeñito.